Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to the world of a business owner, juggling a whirlwind of responsibilities 2 to 5 years into the journey. Now, envision the transformative power of a mentor guiding you towards efficiency, fostering communication skills, and setting realistic goals. This mentor is the key molding a successful, profitable, socially conscious company. Harness the power of mentorship and let your business thrive. BrainShare Business Mentors is one of the top 10 mentoring firms in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let us help you build the business of your dreams. Select your path and get started today.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose. And that purpose is serving others. And yes, you'll achieve success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. And that's a key word, your. Change your world first, make an impact there, and the bigger world will grow with you. I want you to think about, as you listen to my awesome guest today, I had some great conversations before. You're going to love this guy. How will you serve today? And what impact will you create with your service today? I want to thank my two sponsors, BrainShare.us. Drive business success and sustainability with BrainShare Business Mentors, where your business flourishes and your vision comes to life. Check out the link in the show notes. And PitchDB.com. Be a guest on over 3 million podcasts, speak at over 11,000 conferences, and much more. Build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunity to show who you really are. And as I say in my monologue, impact. When you have a servant's heart, you're making an impact. It could be small, medium, or large, but when you make an impact, your world changes. And this gentleman is making an impact in lead generation and customer acquisition, which is, we just talked about in the green, is so pitched. But this guy has a servant's heart and showing you how to do it the right way. Solomon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. It's such an honor to be here.
So how long have you been doing lead gen and customer acquisition?
I like to say the day after I graduated college. So that's about 17 years now. I try not to remember this, but my parents wouldn't let me do any entrepreneurial things until I graduated. That was kind of like, they think that you'll just drop out of school and then you won't get a good wife, the things that they worry about. They said, you graduate and do whatever you want. So they didn't force me to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. They just said, you do whatever you want. And I chose entrepreneurship, and being kind of like a self-taught web developer at the time, whatever I knew with HTML, CSS, I was building websites, and that was literally what I did after I graduated college. Went and got myself a little LLC, and then here we are.
Yeah, this is great. 17 years, so you have a ton of experience. We'll get into that in a minute, but the big question I have when I saw your profile and everything, how can you tie a servant's heart to lead gen and customer acquisition?
Honestly, one of the things that we do is teach people how to sell, because, I can fix the lead generation part, but when you get on the sales call, you got to close, or else all the work we did, doesn't really realize in the return. And most salespeople sell from their perspective. They sell because they know they need to make a commission check and they need to pay their mortgage or rent or whatever. We don't sell because of us. We sell because the person, we're thinking about that person. What is their best interest? What are we looking to do? Should they even buy this service? Is this even the right fit? And when you do it that perspective, what happens to the guard that the prospects put up? It goes down because you use or you say things that sounds like something that goes against your own gain, you know. I'll give you an example. If we were to jump on a call today as a salesperson, I would say, you know, Steve, I really am not sure what we do is the right fit for you. But maybe after we have a quick conversation, we can dive in and find out. And, you know, maybe I'm not even sure if it's worth having a follow-up conversation. You're going to be like, who is this guy? What is he saying? Like, which salesperson would ever say something that sounds like it's not their best interest? And, you know, answering your question, the moment we step out of our own gain and our own agenda and my, everything we think in our head is, what am I doing today? What am I, who am I closing today? To say, hey, who can I help? How can I help this individual? And is this even the right help they need? All of a sudden, everything that we do changes. The way we write our email changes. It goes from on sale today to, hey, how about a free audit of your XYZ problem? You know, how about we come in and check you out and see if this is something you want to fix? It changes our perspective. And so I don't recommend anyone going in trying to do lead gen and all of that, thinking that, hey, I have to make $40,000 this week or $40,000 this day. And so let's put sale, just sell whatever and tell all our salespeople, here's insane numbers you need to hit by the end of today. And so they have the wrong energy and they're trying to go at the customer, kind of like you said about lead gen getting pitched this morning, to say, hey, Steve, I'm not sure if you need any leads. But hey, here's what we do. It'd be great to have a conversation. We'll show you some things that maybe you could use in your own business and maybe a couple of free strategies that you can incorporate, get some business. Is that sounding like a good idea? And if yes, you know, let me know and we can schedule a call.
That's such a powerful statement. And audience, what he's saying is he's deflecting it right away. This is not a sales call. This is a discovery call, some people call it, or introduction call, whatever it may be.
Right.
But what happens when you do that is sometimes, and I know what you do is, well, it's not a fit for us. Well, great. How can I help you in other ways? Or how can I serve you in other ways? But what happens when people drop their wall like that? Do you see, let's be honest, more sales?
Yeah, so ultimately, I love the sales profession. And like I said, lead generation, customer acquisition, sales, they all go hand in hand. While we built a marketing agency, it doesn't mean that we're disconnected from salespeople. In fact, we're their biggest ally. We give them leads and they have to close. And if they close or if they talk to salespeople or customers in a certain direction, they're not going to close anything, right? So the ultimate title that you want as a salesperson is a trusted advisor. You know, if I trusted you with my podcasting, you know, you can send me a bill for $10,000 and I'll just happily pay you because I know that you have my best interest, right? Like if I called you for advice, I know you're not going to sell me something because you actually want to help people and you want to serve. And I understand. And, you know, obviously you'll have that as your thing, but like there's other people, right? You just trust your financial advisor. You just trust your doctor. You're not going to think the doctor is trying to give you some medicine that's not good for you. That's ultimately what you want. And you'll never get to that status until and unless the person that we're trying to serve sees that side of you, that you're not here for short-term gain or a commission check, or we call it commission breath. You know, you don't hear things like that. That sounds like, hey, what would it take you to get you to buy this car and drive out the lot today? And, you know, let me talk to my manager. All of these things trigger the wrong signal about our intent, our intention, right? It needs to be the other way around. I'm not even sure you need a car today. You're going to have to sell me on that idea before I'll even do a test drive.
And,
right?
and it works both ways. Let's use the car dealership. He spends 3 hours with somebody and they never buy a car. Well, he could have talked to 5 people, where in an hour, he's like, okay, this doesn't work for you. Toyota's not your way. Go to Ford. There's a Ford dealership down the road, right?
Yeah, the moment you say things that sounds like it's against your own goals and, you know, motives, you start to build trust with the person that you're trying to sell to. And you and I would never buy something from somebody we don't trust. You know, we all have those stories where we didn't trust we trusted the company, but the company didn't come through, or trusted the person didn't come through. And we tend to not ever want to have that situation again, right? We never want to talk about that. We never want to think about that. But there's so many people that impacted us that because they weren't trying to make a short-term thing. You know, I hope our CPAs are really trying to save us taxes, right? Not bill us more hours.
Yeah. No,
Right?
and it's
Like,
yeah, you're right. Keep going. This is great.
yeah, so going back to the lead generation thing, there is a way to do this with, you know, a servant's heart. And the way to do that is there are people right now in all of the entrepreneurs that are listening, they're trying to grow and scale their business. We tend to think that we have to create demand to make money. Like this product or service has no demand. This is what most marketing people, they start their marketing career, they feel like they need to make an insane amount of Instagram posts and this and that. And those things are great. I am not against it. I'm a content creation, like, you know, machine. I create a lot of content. However, there is a capturing of the existing demand that we should do first. These are people that are Googling our services right now, and they punch it in Google. They're waiting for Google to give them 3 options, you know, in the sponsored area. And maybe if you're a local, you know, business, brick and mortar, there's a maps, there's some other blog post and whatever. If we don't show up there, we're not going to get found, and we're not going to get the call that we need to get the customer. And the only way to show up there, especially in the organic section and all of that, is that you have to do an enormous amount of work, like creating blog content, creating videos. If you're a brick and mortar business, your reputation is everything. So having 5-star experience, people leave 5-star reviews, then you start showing up in the maps. And obviously in the ad section, Google just wants you to pay them, right? Like you just happily pay Google. And if you don't pick up the phone, when they call you, you're not going to get the sale. And you're not going to have money to keep paying Google. So you have to be really good from a business operation perspective to have the money to keep paying Google, right? 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever many $1,000 a day, a week, a month. So this whole thing revolves around us being really, really good at our game. And I usually recommend entrepreneurs that we should not invest money in creating demand until we've exhausted every penny that we have in capturing demand. In other words, we should show up as many times, and I love that you have this podcast, Steve, because people are going to find you that's creating the demand because that was never found, right? Like that's amazing. So I do that as my secondary thing because most entrepreneurs come to us saying, hey, I don't have leads and I'm not going to make this month or this quarter or this year or whatever it is. I need to go 10x, you know, I need more. And so what we typically do is we look at their spend, and their spend is, I don't know, some 5K run they sponsored, you know, some other thing, you know, they spent some money on some co-branded t-shirts for some, you know, run charity. All of these places they ran money and didn't get anything because they weren't capturing the real demand for the people that look for them, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you're known in your town because you did all this stuff, but what did that do for you as a business owner?
Yeah. You
Right?
can build a brand and still not make money.
If you're a real estate agent and somebody's Googling buy house 60 whatever, I'm from Chicago, zip code starts at 600, 60601, and you're nowhere there, they're not going to call you. And if I'm a smart real estate agent, I want to be there where my customer is looking. And we call that 0 moment of truth. Google made this thing. When that person is searching right there and then, you have 10 milliseconds to show up. And man, if you did that, and that call is so much more, you know, easy to take. Oh, sure, you're looking for a house. Can you tell me more? Right? You serve, obviously. And then you won't have to worry about telling all of your friends and the cousins and the uncles about you can help them buy a house. There's people looking for a house right now. Yeah. Maybe they're moving into town. They just accepted a job. They need to find a place. Maybe they sold their house and want to move it. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Are we capturing every bit of demand? And so what happens, Steve, is that a lot of our customers, 80% of their actual marketing budget isn't delivering any result.
Yeah, and that's a crime because you're spending a lot of money. You're talking about relationship sales. I just came up in my head. That's what we're doing, you know, and serving and a sale will come. Don't sell to get a sell. Because I say short-term sales don't last, don't make you much money as long-term. We build a relationship, I buy your product, and I love it, and I trust you, and I go on for years where I go, I'm not sure I'll try it. I last 2 months, and you've lost me after 2 months because there's no relationship built. And a real time happened this morning. What you're saying is so true. I went to go find airline flights and I said, oh, look at Spirit Airlines. It was like half the price of Southwest. I'm like, in my head, I don't trust them. I've never flown them. I heard not good things. So I went back to Southwest because I've used them hundreds of times. I'm flying through that. I just did that as a consumer. So you nailed it. And I love the fact you said lead gen needs marketing and marketing leads gen and sales need lead gen.
Right.
I get 5,000 leads. I have a terrible sales guy. I just spent money on lead gen I've lost that money,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. It happens every day.
What's the difference between lead gen and, I know the answer, but a lot of people out there probably don't, lead gen and customer acquisition?
Yeah. So like I said, lead gen is half the equation. Lead gen doesn't give you a customer. You can buy leads. There's people that scrape LinkedIn and say, here's 500 leads for $5 on Fiverr. What does that do? Did you actually get a customer? Did somebody sign the contract? So we say the lead generation and customer acquisition is that we really believe, there's a formula that we crafted over the years. We call this the growth formula. And that is acquisition plus retention equals growth. That means that not only do you need to acquire these customers, you also need to retain them. Not only do you need to acquire these leads, you need to retain the leads until they make that buying decision. Because if you lose the lead in that process because of poor systems, and when the right time comes, the zero moment of truth, you are not top of mind. So this A plus R equals growth is really what we do. That's our life. We have to know where is the leads coming from and how are we nurturing them? Where is the customers coming from? How are we nurturing them? Right?
Yeah.
If you're Netflix and you got 1 million subscribers in March, and then you lose 1 million in April, did you grow? That's the question.
It's a great question.
Right. Retention is as important. So customer acquisition to us is sign the dotted line. You acquired the house or whatever, you wired the money, signed all the paperwork. Now there's a transaction. The goal is that you have a system for acquisition and a system for retention. So not only are you closing that customer, which is what we everyone want, but we're also growing the customer. That's like
Growing
Apple.
the customer.
Like that's really advanced, right? Apple, you and I go buy an iPhone, and then they say, oh, it's 99 cents. You get iCloud. Oh, it sounds pretty affordable. Like you paid $1,500 for an iPhone. What's 99 cents? You take these 40 megapixel pictures. 4 days later, you filled up your 99-cent space.
But that's so cool. Yeah, I was just gonna say, at 99 cents, it's nothing because I do that. My iPad, I pay 99, I get 1 terabyte, whatever that number is. But you're right. If they have 10 million people put 99 cents up, that's $10 million a month.
That's right.
And you keep retaining them. Keep going with that.
But these phones take such high-res photos that it's going to be filled, in like 2 weeks. And then it says your iCloud storage ran out. They have your card already. Do you want to upgrade, or it'll nag you every second? So you say upgrade, and now you're $20 a piece. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm paying $20. Let me give it to my wife because, she has an iPhone too. Make sure her thing is not going to delete. And she downloads more things than you do. And now you're at $50. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point because they've built relationship, good product. I mean,
exactly.
And they've built the goodwill.
Right. And so they have a system to grow the customer. That's really the secret, right? Like they have a secret to grow the customer. Amazon is going to grow your purchase. Like they're going to make it so easy to order your coffee beans. They're going to remind you. They're going to put you on auto subscription. I mean, anything they can do to make your life easier, not just ask you for money. They first serve you, right? It's serve for sure. They'll make sure you don't have to get out of the house, and it's going to be fast delivery. Yeah. But, they charge you a couple of bucks extra, but hey, you wanted it. And then now you're on this subscription thing. Like, what are they doing? There is a retention built into their system, right? They're already. If Amazon Prime wasn't a perfect example of a retention mechanism, what is? Because once you pay Amazon Prime, you're not going to drive to Walmart. You're like, dude, I just paid $100 or $119 or whatever it is today. I want that baby coming to me, and
Yeah.
I don't want to go to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drive up anymore. And that's kind of what we teach, right? Like every single person needs to have this growth formula implemented in their business. Well, Solomon, how do I start? Acquisition and retention. Acquisition is two modules. There's two systems within it, which is capturing the demand, creating the demand. Those are the two things. That is the only way you could grow your business, is either capture the demand, which is the easiest one, yet nobody seems to figure this one out, and creating the demand, right? Like creation. That's like, make a podcast, make blog posts, make this, make that, make, 27 slide Instagram carousel post. I don't know, whatever it is. However, what about just running direct response ads that says, hey, do you need this? And let Zuckerberg's algorithm put it in front of the right people that actually want the thing that you do, right? Like that should be our investment.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it because I did that with my YouTube channel, and that's what they did. They targeted the people that were watching, and I grew 1,000 times in 2 months, subscribers. So is this a system that your company does? So I come in, XYZ company, go, okay, Solomon, I love what you're saying, but I don't have any systems for customer acquisition. Do you build that for me?
That is correct. So we implement it, right? Like, so it's different for every business. So you might have, long sales cycle, complex sales. It's a team buying. There's 5 people involved. Or you could be a business, you just sell to an individual, a solopreneur, and there's not a big decision-making team behind it. So it's different for everybody. And your lifetime value of your customer is different for one segment and a different kind. So everybody has a different way to nurture their leads or nurture their customers. So we would implement it. But the good thing is, once we kind of do this for customers, now the business owner thinks every single day when they get a pitch, or when somebody says you need to spend money on this, that you got to do this, and you got to put it on a magazine, you got to do trade show. They literally look at the growth formula and say, is this an acquisition system? Is it retention? And if it's within the acquisition, am I capturing demand? Am I creating demand? If it's capturing demand, maybe yes. If it's creating demand, maybe no. Unless we have budget, right? We have more money laying around, and we've kind of exhausted all the capturing that we can, and this trade show might be a good fit. They literally talk to us like that, and we tell them like, yeah, I think so. Because if you have more money and Google, but we're not exhausting Google, we should be putting that money there so that you can get more of that business to come to you right now. Because guess what? You never search something and there's no ads on Google.
Yeah. And you can't Google this. The people go to Google to fix their pipes, and this is why you do it, because you have 17 years of experience. I can come to you and you can figure out where the lead gen's the best for me. Because you're right. I love that you said, I really love this. It's different for everybody. You just don't go to somebody's system and a plumber, a realtor, business coach. It's all going to be different. There's no cookie cutter, right? Okay.
That's right.
Very cool.
But yeah, once you learn the model, and I think that's more important than the actual doing part. Because if you don't know, I love that your podcast is there to motivate people. Yes, I like that. You want to educate them. I think you mentioned education and motivation and inspiration. Well, I think the education part is really important, right? Like, what do I do to grow my business? And there are countless people trying to grow their business. Yet I think these couple of foundational pieces goes a long way, because you and I hear so many stories like, I spent money on this and didn't get anything. Well, I mean, what was it actually? And what kind of tracking did you do? And were you trying to create demand? I mean, that's so hard to create demand. You probably know this. You made a podcast with 350 episodes. That was not an easy feat, right? Like,
no.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you're absolutely right. And now I'm learning to capturing you're saying this is golden stuff, just golden. So we're running out of time here. I mean, I could talk about lead gen and customer acquisition all day. We could
go out for a 2-hour episode today, Steve.
Yeah, people are going to be going, okay, we get it. We need lead gen and customer acquisition. So how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. They could just, first of all, Google me, Solomon Thimothy. We have a couple of businesses. One is called One IMS. That's more for B2B companies. They sell to businesses. IMS is a different business. I know they both stands for marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And that is for more the B2C clients, meaning that could be a plumber, a roofer, whoever. They sell to their local markets or they sell to regions. And the B2B, they need a different solution, different kind of caliber of people doing that and bigger budgets. The local businesses, it's a different situation. They may have smaller budget, but they have a huge growth opportunity. They could grow, right? Like, I never think that every plumber has to be just one truck, one, technician business. They can have 10. The guy that has 10 started with one. So it's this growth mindset. Who do we want to work with and what help do they need? Do they need acquiring customers? Some of our clients, we help them acquire technicians and people. Hiring people is more important for some of our clients than actually getting clients, because they have the clients, they don't have the people, It's a great point. And I'm glad you mentioned that and you do that. That's a big point of your service and features, because you're right. If you want to grow and then to get to scale, which scales $1 million above, and if you don't, that's fine. I tell people, if you're happy at 150,000 a year, and it may stay there. There's nobody in the world's knocking you on the head saying it's all up to you. So with all that being said, what's the last comment you'd like to make before we close the show? What's the what? Sorry, Steve.
What's the last thing you want to say? Last words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really is, having a better sense of control in your lead generation and customer acquisition, because most of the time it's this helpless kind of thing. Like, I don't know, our website's terrible and our Facebook ad isn't working, or SEO, I don't know. And entrepreneurs just like abdication, right? Like you learn, like just ignore it, throw it away. I don't want anything to do with it. And you don't believe in it. You said, I spent Google ads and it didn't work. And so Google's terrible. It's actually not, right? Like, obviously it's easy for me to say, and I understand people all have their own experiences, but having a better system is the only way we can grow. And there's no surprise growth unless you went viral on YouTube or something. Most people, it was a system they followed and they consistently, and they had the discipline to create the content or whatever to then get to where they're trying to go. So I think that is my best piece of advice for anyone today.
Control is huge. That's a big word there. Well, thank you, Solomon. This has been an incredible show. You've really broken down lead gen and customer acquisition to the level where people understand to take that next step, whether it's with you, as you said, you or somebody else, just have somebody help you with this stuff. It's not easy, and it can be very effective for your business to grow, like you said. And audience, as I always say, he educated you like crazy today. These 24 minutes or so, there's $1 million tips that you need to listen to. So use the forward and reverse button on the platform of podcasting. It's why I love it. I could stop at 15 to 20 minutes and go, oh, he was singing about control. I need to find that way to do lead gen. And maybe it's Solomon or whoever, but you need to do this to grow. Listen to it over and over again. We'd love for you to listen or watch the whole show. But if 5 or 10 minutes of the show made a difference, we'd be very happy with that. Also, I don't want you to forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. It's on Apple TV, Roku, and all your streaming services, as well as the podcast Swag, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Wear your hats, hoodies, shirts, and be proud and get that message out. Let's do business and life with a servant's heart. And as always, me and Solomon, thank you so much for listening and watching today. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. See you soon.